How did this guy go from no restaurant experience to making $3.6 million a year in revenue selling biscuit sandwiches? It all comes down to one job and a mindset that changed Brian's life forever.
When we started this business, I had never run a kitchen. I had never made a biscuit. If it comes to persevering or quitting, persevere. I wound up in the ER for like 10 days. For some reason, I was just kind of dying, and we were trying to get this business churning.
And at last, the biggest life lessons learned after making over 1 million biscuits. Yes, biscuits.
And it changed our whole business model. Orders coming in massive amounts, and that changed all of our systems.
So Ryan, you have sold over 1 million biscuits to date, which is so cool. What I want to ask is, like, what got you to the biscuit sandwich industry in the first place?
Yeah, so the answer to that is I started off building a relationship with my business partner. He and I just wanted to start a business together. We traveled to multiple cities. I mean, we went to like 8 or 9 cities, saw all different concepts. And what we were looking for was why things were resonating with people in the places that they were at. Like, what draws people to a place? Like, what's the energy like? And one of the things that we saw is people really like breakfast. Sandwiches was one of the things that we took from it. And then we wanted to just kind of keep it simple. And so when we came back to Austin, we had a friend who helped us start with our base biscuit recipe. We were gonna make a lot of different things. And then we just distilled it down to the biscuit. And it was like, there aren't people here doing that. People are making tacos, but nobody's making biscuits, you know?
So you said you traveled to a bunch of cities, you tried a bunch of different restaurants. Obviously that takes money, and starting a restaurant takes money. Like, we're gonna dive into startup costs later, but I'm sure people are interested. Like, do you particularly go, and more kids are shouting, are the biscuits open?
Not right now. We will be maybe tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, this is mind blowing to see. Like a 5-year-old just was cheering for the biscuits. But yeah, people are wondering, like, do you come from money to build? Like, this is amazing. Do you come from money?
No, I don't come from money, you know, but I'm very blessed. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere in the country. I have 3 younger brothers and an older sister. Went through my challenges as a child, like many people. You know, my mom passed away when I was probably 16 or 17 from MS. Me and my siblings all kind of grew up in different houses for various reasons. And so we had our adversities, you know, but through that, I met some of the best people in my life that have helped me kind of get to where I am and kind of build me into who I am now. So,
can you tell us more about Bird Bird Biscuit?
Yeah, for sure. So we have 2 locations currently. You know, we do have about 50 awesome people. You're gonna hear me talk about the people a lot because I love the people that we work with, and the people are the reason why Bird Bird continues to do what it does, because you can't do it by yourself. And so we were nominated the number 5 place to eat in the country, and I'm honored by that. And that speaks to what the people here do day in and day out. Yeah. And they uphold our values, and they care.
So we are going to dive into startup costs soon. Before we do that, can you talk to us about your revenue and margins, and how do they compare in the restaurant industry?
Sure. So I mean, in terms of like the overall restaurant industry, I'm not gonna lie to you and say I know exactly, but I can tell you where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're probably about now with these 2 locations, revenue-wise, close to $4 million as a business. And then, you know, our cost of goods typically runs anywhere between 25 to 27%.
Wow.
You know, and then our labor is typically closer to probably 30%.
Awesome. Well, it is plenty of cold outside. Let's get into the warm production facility and see what you guys are cooking up. I'm so excited for this. We're talking about top 5 restaurant in America.
That sounds good. And 2022. You know, I mean, like, we're still doing all right there.
Let's hop inside though. After you.
Thank you.
This place is so cool. I love walking in here. Smells so good. So I'm excited to talk more about it and make some bits together.
So good too,
but looking around here, like, there's expensive pieces of equipment. What do they do?
Yeah, man. So I would say that you know, our money maker will be these bad boys right here. Our ovens are probably the most expensive. They kind of make the biscuits, and that's all.
Smells so good.
You know, that's what we do is biscuits. Once they're done to perfection, this part over here is kind of like our assembly line.
Yep.
That's where we cook. That's where we fry. This is our dredge station.
Yeah.
And everything just kind of flows over to the hospitality spot at the window, where, you know, we send things out to the guests. So.
Yeah, and you also mentioned in that answer, 2020, the pandemic changed your business model.
It did change our business model.
How so?
So before the pandemic, we used to have inside seating. People could come in. We didn't really do online business that much at all.
Wow.
Or any of it. And it was the traditional model where people would come in, they'd line up at the register, you would take an order at a time, you know? But the pandemic switched everything to where, I mean, now 90% of our business is all online.
Wow.
And because of that, the flow had to massively change, because when you have online orders coming in, it's not like a person that's coming up to you. They can pop in on the screen 15, 20, 25 at a time.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
And you've got to be able to have a flow that can manage that.
So as we go through this facility, tell us, what were your startup costs and what were some of your business expenses starting out?
Yeah, so to get Bird Bird going at that first location, it cost us a lot more than we thought it was going to because we ran into some snags. So we probably spent about $600,000 to open that location. Yeah, our hope was that we were going to be able to get it done for around $350 or $400.
Oh wow.
So it was a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of those costs were time. Like we had some time delays, which was cost us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then equipment was another humongous cost for us, obviously, getting all your equipment in. And those two were probably our biggest cost.
So you said $600,000 in startup costs, which is a shocking amount of money here. Like, did you have any of this saved up?
In my partnership with my business partner, which I'll talk about, you know, I was kind of the sweat equity side of it, and he was very much the financial side that kind of allowed us to do this. I didn't have any money saved up, but he did. And I met him through the cafe. He owned the cafe that I worked at, Thunderbird, that I was telling you about. He wanted to get out of the cafe business. He was never a fan of that business model. So he came to me and was like, look, I want to start a business with you. I want to start something that we can have a vision for growing. When you treat people right, you get the best out of them. And I think because he was my friend and because I think he realized the value of that relationship, you know, he gave me actual equity in the business, and we really did it together.
What makes Bird Bird so special?
Yeah, so the way my brain works is like I will do something 1,000 times and tweak it just a little bit each time to make it a little bit better. So really what has made this process where it is just attention to detail and trial and error.
So now that we have this all mixed up, you're using your hands there in a way, what's the next step in our process?
Yeah, so now we're gonna add the liquids and mix that in into the dry.
Awesome,
So
let's do it. Let's move this up there, grab the liquids, and let's start stirring this puppy up.
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
Awesome.
Let's see what we got.
More flowers just going everywhere. This looks so good to me. I don't know, this is my first time seeing it, but you've probably overcome a ton of different challenges. All entrepreneurs do. What's been some of the toughest challenges that you have endeavored on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, COVID was a huge challenge for us. And then also, like many businesses, we almost closed our doors. Because we thought it was going to be 2 weeks. We have one employee who's just amazing. He's been with us almost since the beginning. And he just suggested, instead of closing the business, like, why don't we just pop open that window and keep selling biscuits? I was kind of like, Ryan, it's a good idea. Like, we could close for 2 weeks, or we could just do this. And we chose to do it. And then, of course, 2 weeks was not 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's not a 2 week. That's not, COVID's not 2 weeks.
And it changed our whole business model because we had to then learn how to adjust to this new online thing. And orders coming in massive amounts, and that was a big adjustment. It had to change it changed all of our systems. It made our inside spaces all kitchen space. We were able to grow our business because we had the space to grow our business.
After selling over 1 million biscuits, Brian and Ryan would be the first to tell you the best biscuit starts with having the best ingredients. A well-built business starts the same way, with paperwork, legal setup, and fine print all measured before you get rolling. That's why Busy has been the go-to for over 1 million entrepreneurs looking to set up their businesses. Founded by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, Busy makes business formation simple, transparent, and hassle-free. Unlike other business formation services that lock you into endless subscriptions and hidden fees, Busy keeps it simple. That means you get it all: LLC formation, compliance tracking, and more, all for one upfront fee, no strings attached. Because Busy is independently owned, they answer to entrepreneurs, not investors. For over 20 years, Busy has helped founders focus on growth, which means offering robust services like tax support that keep you compliant year after year. And here's the best part. Busy offers 0 LLC formation plus state fees and a free registered agent service for your first year. No gimmicks, no surprises, just a better, faster, and more affordable way to get your business rising. Click the link in the description and get started with Busy today.
All right, now we're gonna move to our Fan Blitz questions with Brian. Brian, you ready for these 7 questions?
I'm ready.
Cool. Number 1, what's the one thing about running a restaurant that would surprise most people?
I think that you definitely don't get to just live your life however you want for a long season. It dictates how you move.
But what's your most popular biscuit flavor combination?
The most popular one is the Queen Beak. It is just the biscuit. It's real simple with that bacon-infused chipotle mayo, the fried chicken with that delicious dredge, and then that spiced honey on top.
What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
I mean, dude, I'm a meditation guy, man. It kind of comes back to that. That's it.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Oh, man. The best piece of advice that I feel like I would want to share would be put the people first. You know?
So good. At what moment did you know Bird Bird would succeed?
The moment when we were able to evolve our processes to actually make the product. Like once we figured out and cracked the code of how to make the product, and make enough of it, I knew we could do it.
So good. Last one for you here. Favorite spot in Austin besides Bird Bird?
There's this place over by my house, and it's just this little Mexican food place called Mitralita, but they do really great work, and they make these burritos that they'll toast for you all the way around. You can stuff them with whatever you want, but you get it toasted and the outside comes just nice and crispy and crunchy, and if you eat it right there, it's just off the chain.
Oh, well, we know where we're going tonight then.
Yeah, that place is off the chain, so I like it a lot.
Alrighty, time is up. It has been in the freezer now. Let's pull it out and let's start making some dough.
Yeah, let's do it, man. All right.
Awesome. So this thing is big now.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about, we'll set that down. We're gonna move this table back here.
Let's do it. Around.
Awesome.
Right.
That's a strong man right there. So I first want to like feel this. Let's feel it. It's firm now. It's not concrete, but it's firm. And so what is this going to allow us to do?
So it's going to allow us to shape the dough in a way where we can kind of keep it in its shape and compress it, but it's not going to like run all over the place.
Awesome. Before we start getting our hands really great. I mean, we're in a huge production space here. I mean, I'd love to hear like what your monthly overhead costs are. What's your biggest expenses?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously like, one of our biggest expenses is labor. Like I'd say,
of course,
you know, monthly we probably are anywhere between 75 to 100 grand with labor.
Wow,
somewhere
that's a
around
lot.
there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's somewhere in there. And then cost of goods, you know, it's probably somewhere around that, like, and this is between both stores,
in
our production facility, probably somewhere in that range, 75 to 100, you know what I mean? Like, probably about that.
What is the most stressful point you've had along this journey?
Yeah, so I can answer that pretty distinctly. So when we first started opening Bird Bird, we didn't have any systems or processes or anything built, and it hit the ground running. It was really busy.
Yeah.
My brother came down from DC to help me open Bird Bird, and without him, it would have failed because we worked just insane hours. But it got to the point, and this was maybe like 6 or 7 months in, where just the repetition of doing everything and making all the biscuits and working the line, my body just started to completely fall apart. I lost basically all of my white blood, like my white blood cell count went to like 0. And I wound up in the ER for like 10 days. Literally felt like for some reason I was just kind of dying.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get this business churning, and that was super stressful because my business partner invested a ton of money and I physically couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's the answer in terms of the most stressful. My brother really stepped up and kind of helped me through that season.
All right, so this is all ready to go. Let's start making some dough here.
Yeah, let's do it. So the first thing that we would want to do is we'll get some flour on our surface here. So next we're gonna flip our dough out of our bowl. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this into quarters, and then we're gonna shape it. We're gonna take it first and shape it into basically a big old square. And these tools you kind of use to shape your edges.
Yeah, get it really squared off here. You guys haven't spent like really a dime on marketing, and you tell customers like one thing. What's the secret of marketing?
Yeah, so for us, it's been one value that we try to live by, and that's blowing people's minds because we give them an experience.
Look at the biscuit. Look at the chicken. Bird Bird. Yeah. Do you see how flaky and buttery that biscuit is? The chicken, juicy, tender, fried to perfection.
When they want to talk about it with other people, they want
For
to
sure.
share with that create fans. And if you can create fans and have people who want to tell others about your business, it's like the best marketing you can possibly get. So
that's snappy.
So we try to blow minds. We give a lot of stuff away. We have a lot of stuff that we allow people to give away that's not even on the menu.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I like that strategy too. I like giving somebody something that they can't buy.
Awesome. So we have these cut now. What's the next step here?
Yeah, so we're gonna take these biscuits, we're gonna get them on the tray, and we're gonna get them in the freezer to finish freezing up.
Awesome. And how long do they go in the freezer for?
Until they hard freeze, and that typically takes 8 hours-ish.
8 hours-ish. Okay, sweet. One question I do want to ask you here is, you love the people here. You love serving the people here as well. And that obviously comes off with 5-star reviews that are just raving about you. So what's your secret to customer service, and how do you have those systems across people to ensure they're delivering amazing customer service?
Yes, trying to help people understand how to seek out the opportunities.
Yeah.
Because when guests come to the store, these people are here, I'm here to serve them, but like, let's find the opportunity. You think about it a little bit different. So I try to teach people to look for those opportunities of how to just serve people and blow their minds and elevate their experience.
Interesting.
Especially at Bird Bird now, we don't have an inside seating. It can be a faceless box.
Yeah.
If we don't reach out and go out there and try to help people feel that love.
Yeah.
So we have to seek out those opportunities. For example, like this morning, you know, it's people come here and those guys didn't come back to get their sandwiches, but it's just a little bit of extra effort instead of staying inside when people come up, when we're not open, going out there and talking to them, giving them a smile. Dude, it goes a long way just connecting with somebody on that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
They feel you care and that matters.
That's what I think is like so cool is like this morning, like we're in Austin, like the whole city's basically shut down because of the winter freeze, we can call it here. But you still have people come in the door like, hey, like we want food, and you're like, oh man, like I'm actually closed, but like, let me find a way to serve you in some sort of manner.
It matters. Little things matter.
I love it. If you want to start a business but don't have access to large funding, you're going to want to check out the UpFlip quiz, where we have a business model based off your goals, situation, and personality. Click the link in the description below and get started with the UpFlip quiz. So you're managing 2 locations, 15 employees, but on top of 15 employees, you have a lot of food costs.
Sure.
How do you manage all those food costs? What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that need to manage that food cost as well?
Yeah, so for us, I think just not doing it alone. I think the more that the people that work with you understand the variables that they're working with and what those variables cost, they approach things differently. Like if you're working the line and you know a piece of cheese costs 12 cents and people are aware of that, you know, your team is a part of helping you control your food costs. And I think at Bird Bird, that's what we're trying to do more of, is just empower the team to understand what that stuff is. So it's not just a high level thing, everybody understands. And then we're really working together to keep that stuff under control.
There's a lot of moving pieces going on here. I mean, you guys have a lot of processes in place, but like, how do you implement those systems to ensure the standard is high every time?
Yeah, absolutely. So training is a big part of it, and that's something we're always trying to get better about, especially as we're growing into our 3rd location. Right now, we have a whole initiative around how we can really tighten up our training processes to get everything good. And making sure you have things written down is a big part of it, because like if you don't have your systems and your processes written down, you don't really have systems and processes. So right now we're getting all that packaged and good, having certain people trained so it's consistent with what people are getting in terms of messaging, making sure you're communicating all the way through with your team from top to bottom. That's something I'm working on being better at. Sometimes, because I move so quick, as you can see,
just jumping around.
Sometimes I'll miss little things and I won't send the message all the way through the team. So all of those things are really important if you want to actually have a consistent outcome. And then we're going to take this nice over medium egg.
Oh,
drop
man.
that here, close this thing up. And this, ladies and gentlemen,
look at that,
is a Bird Bird bacon. See, it just kind of, you know, it's kind of talking to you.
Oh, it looks so good. The cheese is cheesing.
You know, so yeah, that's it.
I love it. There's so much that comes to a business, but like, what's been the biggest difference for you when starting a company? Like, what's the first thing that you guys started out with that you would give advice for other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so in all honesty, it is those values right there. Like we thought really long and hard about what those values mean. And sometimes values can either be guideposts or they can kind of turn into a joke. And for us, our values are guideposts.
I love that, yeah. I feel like with values, like there are a lot of times where it's like, oh, they're just on there, like you don't really need to follow them. But for you guys, like it's right there for everyone to see and to live by.
And we try to live by it. And what people find when they apply it, and there's so many different ways to apply it, it's fulfilling.
So I want to ask, as we're assembling this right here, you and Ryan, you guys are business partners, you guys are friends, but like, do you guys ever have like disagreements? I'm sure they come up, and I would love to hear how you handle those.
100%. Proper communication leads to conversation and not confrontation. And so
that's good.
If you communicate in a healthy way, a lot of times you can have disagreements, but they can be conversations. And that's how Ryan and I's relationship is yeah, we don't agree on everything, but we're both very respectful. We understand that we're on the same team working towards a unified goal. Yeah. And so, you know, no ego. We listen to each other and we recognize it.
Is this a muscle that you've had to work, or has it always been there for you?
100%. You got it. It's just a muscle that you have to work. There's no other way around it.
So we've got our sandwich here made. It looks so good. Let me take it out of the bag. It comes, you know, you talked about packaging it with care and stuff. All right, but the moment of truth, of course, when you have a restaurant, people care about you, but they care about the food a lot. So
yeah, for sure.
Let me take a bite in this. That is so good.
It reveals itself as you kind of get in there too, because you haven't gotten that sauce yet. So, you know, you got to kind of.
That's so good. That is an incredible sandwich. Very hot, very spicy, a lot of flavors. The texture on it is so good. You talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
I want to ask, like, is the restaurant business something you'd recommend others to get into? If so, like, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I'd say for sure. I love it. I think that I would say any business, find the the deepest level that it's gonna like bring fulfillment.
Yeah.
Because for me, if I was just in the restaurant business, that would be one thing, but I'm really in the people business. That's more so what I'm in. So whatever you do, I'd say combine that with being in the people business, and you'll be all right, because you'll be making connection. And I think that's what brings meaning to this whole experience.
So books are obviously humongous when it comes to entrepreneurship. What are 2 books that you read that you think every other entrepreneur should read, and what are your biggest takeaways?
One of them I would say is a book I'm reading right now with my leadership team. It's called Dare to Lead. It's by Brene Brown. It's a great book. There's so many tools that teach how to be in right relationship with the people that you work with and how to communicate. And I think that if you're going to start a business, regardless of what you want to do, understanding those fundamentals is key. And then the other one, what I always got to give props to, is Autobiography of a Yogi.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the book that changed my life. And I think that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, everything you're going to create is going to come out of what you become and what you are. And so learning the art of becoming is crucial.
Awesome. So you traveled everywhere to get this concept. For people that are tuning in, what advice would you give to them to think of a concept and bring it back to their city?
Yeah, I mean, I think just asking the question of what's needed, and then whether or not you're doing your concept for yourself, or whether or not you're doing it because you really are trying to serve a need in your particular community. That's why we did this particular concept.
Interesting.
And so that kind of determines how you go about your research. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was given a landscape to create my own way. And I really, really enjoyed that. When we started this business, I had never run a kitchen. I had never made a biscuit. I had never done any of these processes. And so that challenge excited me, because where I'm at in my life is I know that those challenges are my opportunities. So there's this really cool affirmation that I love, that I use a lot. It's like, whatever conditions confront me, I know they represent the next step in my spiritual unfoldment.
So
I will welcome all circumstances, because I know that within myself is the strength to overcome and the intelligence to understand. That's an affirmation that I have, that I use, and inside of that answers that question. It's like, yeah, the mindset's everything.
I want to talk about, like, where do you get like the inspiration for some of these sandwiches?
Sure, so some of it was when we traveled. Obviously there are certain classics that you kind of come back to, because people resonate with those. And then I'm a big fan of taking something that's simple and just tweaking it a little bit to make it special. Just a little bit, you know what I mean? It's
not
like,
too much, but.
Yeah, and so like with the Chipotle mayo, it's like we've reserved some of the bacon fat from our bacon and we put it inside of the Chipotle mayo just to amp up the flavor a little bit, like the spiced honey, the salt, pepper, and cayenne. Like those little things, they make a big difference, especially when your menu's simple, because people taste it. If you have too much going on, they don't catch those nuances. When you keep it simple, they do.
So obviously you're like a very hard worker here. Like, I've seen you running all over the place today, and at one point you're working like 110, 115 hours a week. I mean, how did you convince yourself and motivate yourself to do this?
I mean, for me, knowing how much Ryan was depending on me to make this thing work, that was really it. Like, I knew that he went out on a limb, and he had pretty much, for his position, he'd given everything that he had. Literally, like, it was like his savings over
do or die almost,
years. So I just knew I had to give everything I had, and whatever that looked like, I was willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, was that healthy? Would you recommend other entrepreneurs to do that?
No, I would not say it was healthy. I would say it was necessary for where we were. I would not recommend it, but I would say that if it comes to persevering or quitting, persevere.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you view that work-life balance as an entrepreneur?
My dad used to say this thing that I now have come to feel differently about, and you've probably heard it. People say, if you love what you do, then it's not work.
You'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, I've come to know that that's really not true. You know what I mean?
Not true at all.
It's not true. If you love what you do, then you love your work. It's still work, but you love it. And so that's kind of my philosophy around it, is you want to find something that you enjoy doing, recognizing like, yeah, it's going to be work, but if you love the work, you get a battery.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know
it keeps you recharged for a longer.
Keeps you recharged.
You're going to get burnt out, of course. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced burnt out at some point during this, haven't you? Or maybe not.
Haven't yet, man.
Haven't yet? That talks about the love for building this.
I haven't yet. It's like, I think curiosity kind of keeps the mind nimble.
That is so cool. I love that. So when you were just getting started out, it took you 30 minutes, I believe, to make a bowl of biscuit dough. How long does it take you now?
About 2 to 3.
That is crazy time. The time is everything when you're an entrepreneur. How do you make that happen?
Yeah, so just our process early on, the way we were making biscuits and how we were told to make them worked for when we were doing a smaller scale. But when we started making thousands and thousands of biscuits, it didn't work anymore. And so we had to ask ourselves, like, what if we try this? What if we try this?
Yes.
You do what you're shown in order to know what you do. But once you know what you do, then you do what you know, but you've got to stay open to learning something new. And there's a lot inside of that statement.
Yeah.
But that's the entire thing with the biscuit that I learned, which
Yeah.
now has allowed us to be that much more efficient.
Awesome. So during this whole interview, we have been doing so much. We have made some amazing sandwiches, some amazing biscuits. You've been answering phone calls. You've been setting timers. You've been doing so much. How do you prevent burnout for yourself and employees in such a fast-moving environment?
For me, it's having that thing that can fuel you. Again, for me, it comes back to meditation. That's because that's what keeps me balanced. And I think a lot of times what causes burnout is when you're imbalanced in a particular area. But balance takes effort. You know what I mean? Like balance doesn't just come. You have to put effort in to stay balanced. For the team, we can't always do those things for other people. But what I can say that I try to do with the team is to help them see that the opportunities at Bird Bird that they can take away from it go far beyond making sandwiches. They're life skills that you can learn about. And if you use the time and you see it that way, you're not burned out because you recognize that you can get an education in a place like this where somebody pays you to learn something that you couldn't buy at a university.
Yeah.
Those lessons can be learned here. And when they see that, I think they understand the value of applying themselves fully, and then they're less likely to get burned out.
Ever wondered where restaurants get their ingredients? Check out episode 194, where we talk with an entrepreneur who went from growing mushrooms to supplying restaurants. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you on the next episode.